In 1969, 12 humans walked on the moon. They got there using a computer with less processing power than the calculator app on your phone. They had no GPS, no internet, no real-time communication with mission control beyond a radio signal that took 1.3 seconds to travel each way. And they made it. All 6 missions landed successfully. Not one astronaut died on the lunar surface. Then, in December 1972, Apollo 17 lifted off. Gene Cernan climbed into the lunar module, looked back at the surface one last time, and became the last human being to stand on the moon. That was 52 years ago. We haven't sent a single human back since. Not because we forgot how. Not because we ran out of rockets. Not because something went wrong. We chose to stop. And the reason why is something NASA has never explained in a way that fully makes sense, until you dig into what they actually found up there.
The official explanation is straightforward. After Apollo 17, the program was canceled. Richard Nixon cut NASA's budget by 50% between 1965 and 1973. The space race was over. The Soviet Union had never made it to the moon. America had won, and winning, it turned out, was expensive. Each Apollo mission cost roughly $25 billion in today's money. 6 successful landings, $150 billion total, for a program that, once the race was won, had no clear political purpose left. Congress wasn't interested in funding what felt like victory laps. The public had already moved on. Apollo 11 was historic. Apollo 12 was impressive. By Apollo 14, the TV networks were cutting away from moon coverage to air regular coverage instead. America had beaten the Soviets. The mission was complete. The funding disappeared, and without funding, humans stopped going to the moon. That's the official story, and it's true. But it's not the whole story. Because here's what doesn't add up. In the 5 decades since Apollo 17, the United States has spent trillions of dollars on military programs, foreign wars, and infrastructure projects. We sent rovers to Mars. We built the International Space Station. We launched the most powerful telescope ever constructed into deep space. But we couldn't find the budget to send humans back to the moon, a place that's only 238,000 miles away, a distance our 1960s technology already covered 6 times successfully. That gap between what we say and what we do is where the real story lives.
When official explanations don't fully add up, theories fill the space. And the theories around the moon are some of the most persistent in the history of modern science. The first one you've probably heard. We never actually went. The landings were faked on a Hollywood soundstage, directed by Stanley Kubrick, staged by the US government to win the propaganda war against the Soviets. It's the most popular conspiracy theory on Earth. Hundreds of millions of people believe some version of it. And it is wrong. Not probably wrong, not mostly wrong, completely, verifiably, demonstrably wrong. Here's how we know. The Soviet Union was tracking every Apollo mission in real time with their own independent radar systems. They were the ones with the most to gain from proving a hoax. They had every incentive, every technology, and every political motivation to expose a fake moon landing. They never did, because there was nothing to expose. Beyond that, the retroreflectors. On every Apollo landing site, astronauts left behind laser-ranging retroreflectors, small mirrors designed to bounce laser beams sent from Earth back to their source. Scientists at observatories around the world have been firing lasers at those mirrors every single day for 52 years. They bounce back every time, within the exact margin of error predicted by the distance to the moon. You cannot fake a mirror on the lunar surface from a Hollywood soundstage. So we went. But the second theory is more interesting. We went, found something we weren't supposed to find, and were told to stop. This one is harder to dismiss entirely. Not because there's solid evidence for it, but because the behavior of the agencies involved is genuinely strange when you look at it closely. NASA has thousands of hours of Apollo footage. The high-resolution original recordings of the moon landing transmissions were accidentally erased in the late 1970s during a routine data storage operation. The most historically significant video recordings in human history erased by accident. The original telemetry data, the raw engineering readouts from every Apollo mission, also missing. Thousands of reels of data tape, gone. NASA's explanation is bureaucratic mismanagement. The tapes were reused, storage space was needed, nobody realized what they were deleting. Which is possible. Government agencies lose things all the time, but it is strange. The third theory is the one that serious scientists actually debate among themselves. We found something on the moon that made us realize going back wasn't worth it. Not because of what we found, because of what we didn't find.
The Apollo missions brought back 842 pounds of moon rock. Scientists have been studying those samples for more than half a century. And what they found changed our understanding of the solar system in ways that still generate published research today. But there are three things in particular that make the question of why we stopped going significantly more uncomfortable. The first is helium-3. The moon's surface is saturated with it. Decades of solar wind have embedded helium-3 particles into the lunar regolith at concentrations that don't exist anywhere on Earth in meaningful quantities. Helium-3 is the theorized perfect fuel for nuclear fusion reactors. Clean energy, no radioactive waste, essentially unlimited power. The amount of helium-3 estimated to exist on the lunar surface could theoretically power the entire Earth for 10,000 years. One trip to bring back a meaningful quantity would require a single Space Shuttle payload bay. We have never sent a mission to collect it. The second thing they found is water. In 2009, NASA's L-Cross mission deliberately crashed a rocket into the moon's south pole and analyzed the debris cloud. They found water ice, significant quantities of it, locked in permanently shadowed craters that haven't seen sunlight in billions of years. Water means drinking water for astronauts. Water means oxygen when you split the molecules. Water means hydrogen fuel for rockets. A permanent lunar base was suddenly not just theoretically possible, it was practically viable. We have still not sent humans to collect it. The third thing is geological. The moon rocks from the Apollo missions revealed that the moon didn't form the way we originally thought. The leading theory now is that roughly 4.5 billion years ago, a Mars-sized object collided with the early Earth at a precise angle and velocity that ejected enough material into orbit to eventually form the moon. The implications of this are enormous. The moon is essentially a piece of the early Earth, preserved in a vacuum with no weather, no erosion, and no tectonic activity for 4.5 billion years. It is the closest thing we have to a time capsule of the solar system's formation. Every sample we bring back is a direct window into conditions that no longer exist anywhere on Earth. And we stopped collecting samples in 1972.
So here's the truth. And it is genuinely more frustrating than any conspiracy theory. We didn't stop going to the moon because we found something terrifying. We didn't stop because of a government cover-up. We didn't stop because of a budget meeting. After the political goal of beating the Soviets was achieved, the moon became a science project. And science projects, no matter how important, compete for funding against things that have more immediate political payoff. No president gets re-elected for funding geology research on the lunar South Pole. NASA has been trying to get humans back to the moon since the 1980s. The George W. Bush administration launched the Constellation program, canceled. The Obama administration launched Orion, delayed indefinitely. The Trump administration launched Artemis. The Biden administration continued Artemis. As of today, Artemis has been delayed so many times that the original 2024 landing target has been pushed back to at minimum 2027, with most analysts expecting further delays. The rocket exists. The spacecraft exists. The spacesuits are being built. The political will exists, in theory. What doesn't exist is consistency. Every 4 years, priorities shift. Budgets get reallocated.
programs get redesigned from scratch by new administrations who want their name on the achievement.
Meanwhile, China has announced they intend to land humans on the moon by 2030. And unlike American moon programs of the last 40 years, the Chinese program has not been canceled, delayed significantly, or redesigned midway through. Which means there is a real possibility that the next humans to walk on the moon will not be American. And that outcome, more than any budget discussion, might finally create the political urgency needed to actually go back.
In 1994, Carl Sagan wrote a book called Pale Blue Dot. In it, he described watching the footage of humans leaving the moon for the last time and feeling something he described as grief. He wrote that a civilization that reaches the moon and then decides to stop going is a civilization that has lost something essential about itself. Not scientifically, not technologically, something deeper than that. The willingness to go somewhere simply because it's there, simply because we can, simply because not going would be a kind of spiritual surrender. The moon is 238,000 miles away. On a clear night, you can see it without a telescope. You can see the Sea of Tranquility, where Armstrong and Aldrin landed, if you know where to look. Every human who has ever lived has looked up at that same object. Every civilization in history has built myths around it. And for 6 brief years, between 1969 and 1972, 12 people actually stood on it. Then we stopped. Not because we had to, because we decided other things mattered more.
The Apollo guidance computer had 4 kilobytes of RAM. Your smartphone has 8 billion times more processing power. The engineers who built Apollo used slide rules to calculate trajectories. We now have AI systems that can design rocket components overnight. The moon is the same distance away it was in 1969. The technology is better. The knowledge is greater. The resources exist. What's missing has never been the capability. The helium-3 is still there. The water ice is still there. The 4.5 billion-year-old rock record of the solar system's formation is still there. And on the surface of the Sea of Tranquility, there are footprints. In a place with no wind and no weather, those footprints will be perfectly preserved for at least 10 million years. The next humans to walk on the moon will be able to find them. The question is whether those humans will be us or someone else entirely.